Welcome to Yacht Hunters, a channel all about classic sailboats. Inspecting, touring, buying, owning, fixing, maintaining, and ultimately getting them in the water, jumping on board, and enjoying the magic and beauty that sailing has to offer. We're going to speak with experts from the boat industry, some boat buyers, and boat owners. We hope to have a bunch of laughs and learn a little bit along the way. Ever wish you had more friends? If you're interested in affordable ways to get out sailing, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Randall, and this week's episode is a Where Are They Now? Ever wondered what happened to some of the boats that we've toured? I have, and that led me to this road trip. I'm super excited about this. Back about a year ago or so, we featured a Bristol 27 for, I think that was about $6,000. I got a message from a young gentleman named Dustin who said, I think I'm going to buy this boat. What do you think? It's my first boat. And we had a really nice back and forth about the potential that this boat had. Now we're fast forwarding into the future and Dustin bought the boat. I wanted to make this episode because I wanted to find out what happened to the boat after it was sold. And what's even more unique is that the seller of the boat, Cooper, has agreed to join us as well. I'm here at the yard in Mattapoisett, Massachusetts. For those of you not familiar with Mattapoisett, it's about 60 miles south of Boston and about 15 miles east of Providence. It's a great little coastal town on the south coast of Massachusetts. It's a great hopping off point if you wanted to head to Cuttyhunk or Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket or Block Island. It has a long history of boat building back in the whaling days. It's a beautiful coastal town with some great little restaurants and sandwich shops. Whether it's a day trip from New England or you're on your way cruising and you want to stop off, I think Mattapoisett is a really quaint part of New England. All right, let's get back to meeting up with Dustin and Cooper. Let me do introductions here. So we have Dustin from Florida and we have Cooper here from Mattapoisett, Massachusetts. Cooper's the former owner who took a gap year, went to Turks and Caicos. Yep. Awesome. And has now sold the boat to Dustin. All right, so I'm really curious, and I think the viewers would be really interested to see what inspired you to want to do this crazy idea of buying a sailboat.
I think the universe, it kind of put a bunch of different factors into play at once. I think one of the biggest ones was COVID. And they started shutting down travel to Europe. I have a lot of friends over there, and I started thinking about just different alternates to getting over to Europe, and it sparked the idea of different modes of transportation.
Were you on YouTube looking at sailing, or were you looking at RVs, or how'd you end up on sailing?
We started looking at people crossing the ocean on 30-foot boats, and it kind of just sparked a little excitement and got the gears going in my mind. Through my research, it started getting me thinking like what it takes to actually have a blue water boat or what features you're looking for, because there's not one dedicated forum that's like you need this feature and this feature.
What sparked you to want to go offshore and go have that adventure at the age of 18?
Yeah, well, I was a junior in high school, when I bought the boat, and so I had loved sailing. I'd been on the high school sailing team for a while. I'd always dreamed about it. Facebook Marketplace made me realize it was more affordable than I thought, so I ended up buying the boat, and then COVID hit at the end of my junior year. So I went through COVID. The boat was pretty much all I had to do, while I was at home. And then once I graduated as a senior, I was looking at college, and I was talking to my friends who were in college, and they said it just wasn't the same, Sitting in the dorm, all day, like not being able to do labs. I'm a very hands-on person, so watching a video of someone doing a lab really did not appeal to me. So I decided, I was going to go sailing, and I didn't really know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. So I just kind of made the plan and made it available to myself and just did it. And I kind of made it up.
How much did you pay for the boat?
I bought the boat for $1,500.
Wow.
Yeah, $1,500. It was a pretty, big sum for a sophomore junior in high school.
Do you have a rough idea how much you spent to get it up to snuff?
Yeah, I'd say probably, so I bought the boat for $1,500. I had a couple big expenses. I bought a new mainsail, which was another $2,000. I bought the wind vane for $2,500. So, all told, $600.
Yeah.
Well, not too bad.
Yeah.
But
How about the carrying cost as far as storage or moorings or places to keep the boat?
yeah, I was lucky enough to be kind of a young person trying to do this, and a lot of people wanted to help me. So launching, I was $600 each wet for, launching all with a mass stepping and unstepping. We kept it in the
yard,
front
yeah.
yard.
That's
So
really great.
storage was free. And as for moorings, I was a deputy harbor master in my hometown, so I bought the boat and started asking around, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I've got a grandfathered in mooring that I'll let you use for the season." So that was free. So just got to make the connections, and things kind of present themselves.
Yeah. So Dustin reaches out to you and he says, "I'm interested in buying it." How did that conversation go?
At this point, I had been watching Captain Q probably for 3-4 months, and just seeing all the different boats, because I had finally realized that for me to have a boat that I felt safe crossing the ocean and something full keel was important. I like that the keel is actually molded into the boat, so I was thinking Cape Quarries. And I had kind of reached out to Randy here to talk a little bit about different options on Cape Dories, and he says, "Well, you've got a Bristol we're showing." It took me a couple months of marinating on it, and finally at some point I just said, this is my outlet, this is what I have to offer you.
Yeah.
Don't be offended, because I think the boat is worth more than even what you're asking for it. Is this something you would consider?
Yeah.
And it ended up working out.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of demands. Is this a good guy and a great family? Even when I showed up to look at the boat, he's like, my parents are out of town, and I've got to go back to school and work on a project, if that's okay. I'm like, all right. And he's like, well, the house is unlocked. Here's the bathroom. Here's the kitchen. Wow. I'm like, I got you on the internet. Stranger danger.
Do you know stranger danger?
So it felt right even getting off the plane. Typically doing something this bold, you would have some apprehension, but there was a feeling of calm through the entire experience.
Yeah.
Showing up, seeing the boat, knowing the family I was getting it from, I was like, oh, okay, I feel very good about it.
Yeah, and getting to know the family.
Absolutely.
So, have you been staying with them for a little bit,
For
or?
about 2-3 weeks.
Oh wow!
Well, buying the boat wasn't enough. He had mentioned that his family's like, well, they would consider renting out my room while I was in college, and
Yeah.
I was talking to Dave, the boatyard here, and just talking about toilets being a potential discharge hazard.
Sure.
He didn't realize I had a direct release. We would have just gone straight to the problem. But I said, it never hurts to ask. And I said, is that something your family would consider? And it ended up working out. So,
Wow, what a fantastic
made
story.
some good friends through the journey.
Tell me about the purchase process, and do you mind me asking your offer price and how the negotiations went?
So I offered $4,500. He's a very smart businessman. He said, I've got someone interested in it for $5,000. And I said, well, if someone's in it for $5,000, that means it's their boat. And I want you to do what, you're supposed to do. But I had a feeling there might not have been another guy. And he came back 2 days later and he said, I'm highly considering that offer.
All right.
And it just kind of fell into place. So
So you had another offer that fell through?
Yeah. A fair few, actually. A bunch of people came, only a couple came to visit, but a bunch of them were, kind of stringing me along, wanting to keep the boat available for them. But a lot of people didn't see the value of the boat through, the fact that it had been sitting for 2 years at that point.
Right.
So, I was...
So some curb appeal, really.
Yeah. It is the curb appeal. He saw through kind of some of the mold, and the eggs in the fridge. So, and this boat it has more soul than that. It needed some work, but it was all there.
Yeah.
So that's what ended up getting him to buy it.
Yeah. But I'm grateful because I bought it from a mad genius. I mean, he had it set up. It really just needed a bath and a fresh coat of paint. He had USB hookups to the solar power so I could charge my phone. There's a bag of new lights here. I mean, when you think of any feature you would need to go on any type of journey, it was already here.
Right.
It was in working condition. It just needed to be cleaned off.
I think when we first looked at it, we were like, okay, the monitor alone is about half the value of this asking price.
Yeah.
And then you throw in a nice AIS VHF radio.
And you start thinking long distance travel, I think that's a necessary feature on a blue water boat, is just having something as a solo sailor where it can kind of take charge and you can relax. When I had come to stay on this boat, I had actually never been on a sailboat on the water. Even being from Florida, my family grew up, we were powerboat nerds. So, you're not going to learn until you start doing it.
Right.
So that's where I've taken the certifications. I still wouldn't be a sailor probably for 6 months to a year. We'll see.
I would add, from my own experience, the way I learn is
failing miserably, and then figuring out, okay, I now know not to do that.
It's learning the hard way.
The hard way. I don't think there's another way. I think that's the only
We
way.
call it making a discovery.
That's right.
That's and this is my sabbatical. I turned 30 this year, so I'm kind of going to take a little bit of time and float around.
Yeah, what's your destination goal? Do you have an ambition in mind?
Eventually Europe. I don't think after this setup she's going to be ready, nor am I technically capable of that type of endeavor quite yet.
Sure.
So I think getting some miles this year. I'm going to stay around New England until hurricane season's over.
Okay.
Once hurricane season's over, I'll take the boat back to Nana, go visit Nana.
And Nana's in Florida?
She's in Florida.
Okay.
We're pretty fluid. I'm open to the adventure. We have to see technically where I'm at and the experiences I get and what the universe kind of brings me to.
Yeah.
But I like New England. They have great bagels up here. The pizza restaurants, I mean, the Italian food is ace.
Yeah. All right.
I had a salon since 2017 and I closed it down. And there's if you find a city right north of Tampa and everybody has gray hair, that's where I was. That's where I'm excited to explore different work opportunities. But you can cut hair anywhere. So.
Yeah, that's a great portable job. I feel like you'd be pretty popular if you pull into an Anchorage and start offering some services in exchange for beer or papaya or mangoes, coconuts.
No, it's going to be a fun experience. I'm very open and just excited to get it in the water and see what the life is going to be like.
Well, I'm excited to see the boat. I think you've already done a little bit of, besides cleaning it up, I think you've already done a little bit of customization to make it your own.
A bit of painting.
So maybe we could do a little tour. You could tell me what you've done so far and what your ambitions are for making it your own.
That would be great.
All right, let's
go.
do that now. This is a little deja vu for me.
A little deja
But
vu.
it looks a little bit different.
We've made some changes. So we went in initially. I think one of the biggest things was it needed a cleanup and a coat of paint.
Yep.
So one thing that I've actually learned, I'm a painter by kind of by trade. I mean, I'm also primarily a hairdresser. It's all different forms of art. Is how limited we are in color selection when it comes to painting a boat. So when I was in West Marine, I'm talking to them, and you can only buy things in high gloss. And I feel like even capturing this on photograph, a satin finish would be so much better. Some of my favorite sailors that I like to watch, Sailing Magic Carpet. They're Maya's an artist, and she's really good about picking the right finish. And they're finishing out their cabin, and they're just talking, we're using the Epiphanius, and we wanted more of a satin finish here. And I really feel that experiencing it as a painter inside the boat.
Yeah, if you can pick up 10% of their meticulousness, I think you'll be in good shape.
We're going to have a good boat.
They are remarkable.
Yeah, what would Aladino do is what I'm going to get a bracelet that says that. There was a lot of gray over here, and I went through with like a little wire scrub brush and just worked, but we got her cleaned up.
Did you bleach it? What did you else did you use for cleaning it up?
So even when I came up to stay on the boat, I told Cooper, I said, there's some room for improvement if I'm going to spend 2 nights here. And he said, well, there's some nature's green. And I said, no, Cooper, I need chemicals. Can I put bleach? Is it going to kill anything? And he says, well, I've got muriatic acid if you use gloves and a mask. And primarily everything in here I cleaned up with muriatic acid.
Okay.
But I really like on and off. And that's what Cameron from the boatyard had recommended. That's how we got all the algae off on the exterior.
Great.
And it's a very similar makeup to muriatic acid.
Yep.
There's something about the application that I feel like it's a little more effective.
Yep.
So there were certain areas that I'd go in with the muriatic acid, and then I'm like, okay, we need to on and off it one more time.
Yeah.
And it was perfect because it's just that paint-on application. Let it sit for 5 minutes, but making sure you get it off just because that acid does stay. And even the cushions, I did a little muriatic acid, and I put my knee on it afterwards, and I was like, there's definitely still some of that on there.
Oh, that tingles.
So
Now you got some new cushions here, it looks like.
Yep, new cushions, thanks to Walmart. This is not Walmart sponsored. No. We could be. No, but just really cleaning up the cushions. There were some back, I don't know what the technical term would be, but there was a support bar that went here, so you could actually lean against and not hit. With 2 layers of cushions, it puts you in a good spot for me to enjoy the season. I think long term, I want to do 2 tables here just so I have a place to prep food and paint.
What are you envisioning with the two tables?
I'm going to do a cut-up surfboard. So I'm going to take surfboards, probably cut them in half, do some type of bracket here just for structural strength, and then just have a little surfboard pop-up table.
Okay.
Either side. And over here, I'll probably make this one a little bit more of just like a nav station.
Okay.
Smaller area so I can sit down and actually chart and get ready for the next part of the journey.
Yeah. Also, you could have that as your sea berth too if you're sleeping
Exactly.
here and jumping up and down.
So...
Any modifications elsewhere?
No, we got rid of that. Got rid of our alcohol stove. Tad, my boat neighbor, gave me a great suggestion. He is actually a broker for Mattapoisett yacht sales, so he's been a good resource as well. Make friends with your boat neighbors. That's my tip. He told me that a lot of times in boats like this, when they were redoing them, they would just put a cutting board. So Cooper's father, Peter, was like, oh, there's a Home Goods in Wareham.
Yeah.
And I ended up, I like antiquing, so I had to start exploring all the antiques they had around here. And I had to keep it in check, but I found an antique cutting board and...
There we go. Nice little mocha pot for your morning espresso.
A little mocha pot, keeping it simple. And sneaking in, so it's really not too many modifications. Once you hop back here, you'll see we got rid of that toilet. We're going to do a Nature's Head composting toilet.
Okay. And this seems like a modification of some kind. I don't think this is not stock from Bristol, was it?
So this is one of my favorite painting techniques. It's a great way to clean spaces up. I think I chose more of a multi-tone paint job because there is no liner up here.
Yeah.
So you can see a little bit more of the natural texture of the fiberglass. So the crazy colors actually kind of mask some of the texture challenges.
This is super fun. I think what I really like about it is that it's making it your own. It's really about you styling it the way that feels cozy and homey to you.
But I think anything can be your home. I've always really enjoyed living in unconventional places, and I think half the fun in living in an environment like this is learning how to make it work.
And this might match one of your other vehicles, is that right?
This does match the Volkswagen. Rest in peace, I miss her. If someone ever steals my boat, I can go around with my suitcase and have you seen this boat? You know, it'll be a great way to locate her if she floats away or drifts to a different spot.
It's a great likeness, yeah.
Thank you.
Tell me about this Why Worry, the Emily Dora.
So Why Worry is actually the original name of the boat from Cooper. And I was telling him his journey is a big part of why I felt comfortable buying this boat and doing it. Someone so young kind of jumping onto that adventure.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to erase his history, but I just added the Emily Dora after my great-grandmother. Just because she was a strong, tough woman. And I thought she'd be a good representation for the boat.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yep, she was rocking in the 60s, just like the Bristol.
They made them good back then.
Yes, they did. So down the road, I would love to do a Bomar hatch up here.
Yep.
I'm really excited for what she's going to become.
So you're going to sail it for a little while.
Yeah.
And experience it, and then kind of figure out exactly what you want to do to it, right?
Exactly. Being in a space and experiencing it, you realize how you need to live.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is nice to go in and think about how you're going to live, but until you get in there and do it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, yeah.
So it's going to be a fun learning curve. I think it's a new life challenge here. You know, I think a big thing too is not becoming stagnant. So always finding something new to learn, you know, just being open to being a part of the solution.
Yeah.
You know, don't get into a rut or routine.
Yeah.
Sell everything you own. Shut down your salon. Buy a sailboat. That's what I say.
Well, thanks so much for the tour. I have to send some updates on your first year on the water.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for stopping by to see the boat.
Yeah, thanks for the extension to the story. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Dustin.
Well, the story doesn't quite end there. I got a text from Dustin about a week later letting me know that he had hit some significant snags and was having a lot of new discoveries. I know how badly splash days can go, so I thought I'd head up and check in on Dustin and make sure everything was okay.
Hey, Dustin.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
I heard you you mentioned you had a few snags or discoveries.
And we made some more today.
Well, I brought a little care package just in case.
Thank you. Bilge paint.
Since you're going to be dealing with some bilges, I hear.
Very good for the spot I'm in. Some measuring cups.
Yeah, always handy.
And
Oh, there you go.
back on land.
Yes. So last time I left, you were about to splash.
So we ended up splashing. We had a good first few nights out on the water without power, mind you. But I had a lantern and a good book, so that part was great. Up until my first storm, I had probably 3, 4, maybe 5 nights out there. And a storm rolled through one night, and Dave, the owner of the boatyard, was like, "You're going to need some Dramamine out there, buddy. Our harbor isn't as protected."
Okay.
And the hobby horsing actually was good. But we did notice that there was some water, we as in me, noticed that there was some water coming into my bilge from underneath my cabin.
Scary.
Yep, so I went through and I checked my 3 seacocks, and then there was nothing there, no leaks. And I took my flashlight and shined it to the back, and it gave a little bit of a cave ambiance.
Oh. Dark and moist.
It's that pesky engine well. So this support right here for the engine, just over time and the wear and tear, finally had cracked a little bit.
So what do you think the cause of it was?
I just, this engine's a little bit heavier than I think was intended for the boat. I mean, just how that was supported back there.
Okay. There were some stress points in the corners here and here, which was then causing some deformation on the connection between the interior bulkhead and the outside shell of the hull. You can see that a little bit better here, where that connection happens and where it was cracked and then leaking.
I added some additional supports on the side. This guy right here.
Oh, this is new.
This is new.
Okay.
And I am getting ready to go in fiberglass, but I made some discoveries fiberglassing underneath the cockpit today.
Oh, really? What's your analysis? What do you think you did wrong?
It's because we're using a polyester.
Yep.
And it's when you use a polyester, you have to add a wax, which is the actual hardener to that product. And I think I put too much of the wax into my component mixture. It started hardening.
It set too fast. Okay.
Mid-application, and I'm just like, oh no. But you live and you learn.
I mean, first of all, I'm glad you're okay. I'm also really glad you were on the boat during a splash, which might be a great lesson for other people.
Absolutely.
If you're owning a boat, when you splash it, probably a good idea to stay with the boat overnight if possible, right?
They were vintage. I think there can always be something done wrong. We're humans. I think there can be wear and tear even on newer boats. She's built like a tank, so when I finish troubleshooting these challenges, I'm going to feel really safe out at sea. I'm hoping that this is going to be around a $3,000 discovery.
Okay.
If I could keep it a little bit under, that would be great.
Right.
I haven't quite got to the final number. When you're determined to succeed at something, you're going to succeed. You just have to be able to get over the hurdles and challenges.
And so much better to find it here than somewhere offshore of New Jersey or something.
That was also my thought. I kind of was grateful that I was in a more unprotected harbor because I got to see that hobby horsing out of mooring.
Right.
Being close to land where I had access to safety if something did go wrong.
Yeah. Thanks for the update, the epilogue to the story.
Thank you, guys.
I wish you the best of luck. I know the viewers will wish you the best of luck. Dustin is going to be a floating hairstylist, and
if you need a haircut,
wherever you are, if you need a haircut, your Instagram is
That Dusty Llama.
All
one word, no uppercase.
right.
My Facebook is Dustin Lee Lawrence, and you can find me on there. That'll be public.
So send a direct message to you through Instagram or Facebook.
Either or.
And how will they know where you are? If you're in...
I'll probably start posting an itinerary once I start floating, and then for now I'm going to be up in the New England area until hurricane season is over. I will kind of post a location, and then you guys are free to come and message me for a haircut, and we can schedule something.
So you'll scoot over to the boat if someone's in the harbor and do a custom cut?
Me over. I'd rather the hair be on your boat than mine after all this work.
If you're inspired by Dustin and you want to help him out or buy him a coffee or help him restock his tequila supply, there's a Cash App link here. You can send him a few bucks and wish him well on his way.
Thank you, guys.
I had to try it out for myself, and I'd highly recommend Dustin. I'll link to Dustin's information down in the description below the video. And as always, I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. Without your support, this channel really wouldn't be possible. So thanks very much. You guys are the best.